Hey guys, it's Travis Justice here, and I am going to. Hey Emma, what are you singing? I kind of yelled out, and Emma kind of got scared. Sorry, baby. Go back to eating the chewy. I am going to do. I haven't done this in a long, long time, so I'm going to do this. My UFC 159 predictions: Chael Sonnen versus John Jones, and I'm not going to do the whole card. I'm going to do the top three fights, the main three fights. First of all, it's going to be Czech Congo versus Roy Big Country Nelson. Now, Roy Nelson and Czech Congo. Czech Congo, obviously a very dangerous striker, great kickboxer. His wrestling and his jiu-jitsu aren't exactly the best. Roy Nelson, very, very hard to knock out. He's never been knocked out any of his UFC fights. Former champion of the IFL, Ultimate Fighter winner, Ultimate Fighter coach, Czech Congo. I got to go with me personally. I got to go with Roy Nelson on this one for the mere fact that he does have such a great submission game. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, and as we well know, Czech Congo is not very well good. Is not good at all actually against Jiu-Jitsu competitors, as we saw when he had when he lost to Frank Mir with a rear naked, not excuse me, a half guillotine choke when Frank Mir wasn't even in the guard. He almost got knocked out by Pat Barry, but somehow managed to squeak out a tremendous knockout upset victory over there. Came back pretty much from the dead. But I got to go when it comes to this fight. I got to go with Roy Nelson via submission. The semi-main event is going to be Alan the Talent Belcher versus Michael the Count Bisping. Now, you want to talk about two guys who are great standing up. These two guys are great strikers. Alan Belcher, tremendous striker. Michael Bisping, he's been on a high and a low recently, and he's always been known to be a very. I've always found Michael Bisping to be a very careless striker. I mean, he got knocked out by Dan Henderson when more than likely he shouldn't have been. But when it comes to Alan Belcher, I think he's more, in my opinion, I think he's a little bit more well-rounded than Michael Bisping is. Obviously, Michael Bisping will never wrestle with somebody, and he'll never try to go for the submission. He'll always go for the knockout. Alan Belcher, I think I gotta go with Michael Bisping either by knockout or by decision. Now the main event: John Jones versus Chael Sonnen for the UFC Light Heavyweight Championship. Now, I've always been a fan of Chael Sonnen. I always love the fact that he is just a bully. He loves to give it all. He's like when it comes to the top, when the biggest shit talkers in mixed martial arts. Of course, when you talk about the top three, Tito Ortiz, Nick Diaz, and Chael Sonnen, these guys really love to rub it in your face and really love to just show that we may talk a lot of shit, but we know how to back it up. And 95% of the time, it really has worked for them. I mean, Nick Diaz, well, not really, not 95% of the time. But when it comes to this fight, John Jones, very unorthodox striker. He's a very talented striker. I think, in my mind, if Chael Sonnen wants to win this fight, he's got to get it to the ground. Because John Jones does not have a great ground game like Anderson Silva has. Now, don't get me wrong. I think Anderson Silva and John Jones, when it comes to their height, when it comes to their striking ability, I think they got a lot of things in common. Now, John Jones is a bit of an orthodox style striker. He comes up with things that only you would see in a ninja movie, but they're very effective. Chael Sonnen, in my opinion, if he wants to get this, he's got to use his wrestling and he's got to get it to the ground and work for the ground and pound. John Jones is not very good off his back. Now, John Jones is very lanky. He could possibly sneak in a submission somewhere if Chael Sonnen is not very careful. But in my mind, in this, I got to go with standing up. If John Jones can, in my opinion, if John Jones can stay away from the takedown attempts, can stay away from the ground and pound, and if he does get to the ground, he gets back up, then he's gonna have then he's gonna get Chael Sonnen a rough time. But if this goes to the ground, I gotta go with Chael Sonnen another way. So more likely there's gonna be a takedown somewhere because of Chael Sonnen's just phenomenal wrestling ability, and I gotta go with Chael Sonnen with decision. So those are my UFC predictions. Maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong. You can believe them, you don't believe them, but one thing's for sure: believe in the justice.